First of all, yeah,
One,
yeah,
two,
yeah.
three, 4, 5, 6.
Hey, hey, welcome to mediocrity, though.
No, we're past mediocrity, bro. I'm in Bears country now. I'm in Bears country now.
Let's talk about the matchup in Week 6, though. The Patriots or Raiders, Belichick versus McDaniels. What do you think is going to happen? I think we both, or no, I'm sorry. Kyle had the Patriots. I had the Raiders. What, break the tie here.
I mean, you look at the analysis and you want to look at what does each team do well? Like the Raiders, what do they do well? I mean, Max Crosby gets after the passer, and Devontae Adams is a savage. Um, that is pretty much the end of the story.
Yeah, that's about it.
You flip it to the Patriots, especially since Gonzalez, Torres, Labrum, and Judon has been put on IR. And what do the Patriots do well?
Coaching?
Maybe they can stop the run. Maybe.
Allegedly.
The bottom line is the Patriots don't do anything well. The good news is that the Raiders aren't much better. I'm interested that you put me on the spot here to pick this game, because to me, like, this game in context, it really doesn't mean what we thought it would mean. This is like a get right game for both teams. And there used to be a saying around New England, back in the heyday, where you call it the tomato can. No, 5 years ago. You call them the tomato can games, right? You look at the schedule and you just knock them all over.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was like a great sports talk radio caller that chimed in. He goes, you look at this schedule and I can't find any tomato cans. And you know what? When you can't see the tomato cans, odds are you're the tomato can.
Yep.
We are the tomato can. So this is tomato can on tomato can. And I mean, you want me to pick it? My advice to real gamblers is stay away. I think both teams suck so bad it's really hard to predict. I would be shocked if the Patriots had like a bounce back revival game. I don't think they're doing anything right. I don't think it's right in the building. I don't think the chemistry is right. We all know the offense is a complete train wreck. It's somehow gotten worse since Beavis and Butthead left on offense.
Yep.
And defensively, they're down on personnel so bad. I look at what the Raiders do, and it's like, all right, we'll just throw a bunch of people at Devontae Adams. Well, then Jacoby Myers, friend of the program, guy we probably should have just forked up another, $400,000 and fucking paid, excuse my language, instead of going after Juju. We call him Juju Sanu in Boston. Again, my point is, I think the Raiders have more weapons. Raiders have a functional thing that they're excited about, where their team's playing together, and the Patriots have none of that. So if you put a gun to my head, I would say Raiders win. And it would take a gun to my head for me to pick this game.
Yeah, that's kind of, I agree with all that. And one thing that the Raiders aren't terrible at is first quarter points. If you look at first quarter, they're ranked 12th.
Better team to get a lead on than the Patriots.
Yeah, and the Patriots in first quarter points is 29th. And then in the second quarter, though,
it goes back.
Yeah, the Patriots are the better team. The Raiders are the worst. So what about third quarter? Well, the Patriots are 31st and Las Vegas is 31st. They're tied for last with 0.6.
Wow.
I gotta tell you guys. You guys clearly don't have a Belichick run operation. You're playing checkers and we're playing chess. You want to be the worst team in the league out of the gates, giving up points. And then after halftime, you want to be the worst team in the third quarter, giving up points. And if you're not doing that, then you don't know what you're doing and you're a jabroni and don't belong in the league. Oh, wait. We're the worst team in the league. We're right up against the Bears right now. It's scary.
What about
you're up
Giants?
Against the Panthers? Slow down. You're up against the Panthers. The Bears got a great win last week. I want to know here. What the fuck do you do with Mac Jones? You've got Bailey Zappi, and all of New England was probably cheering, you included, when Bailey Zappi came in late last week against a terrible team.
Rick,
the Saints.
When I interviewed Rusty, he totally told me that all of the fans that were cheering for Zappi or wanting Zappi to come in didn't know football. They didn't understand football. They didn't know. So I already know, and I'm excited about to see where. So I'll let you finish your question, but I had to add that in there because I'm curious to see if anything's changed or if we're still on the same page here.
So then, with that being said, what the hell do you do here with two quarterbacks who are basically useless in this Patriots team?
So Rick, it's your guys' show, so stop me if I'm going completely off the rails. But I love Kyle's memory here. He's got the memory of an elephant. Kyle, what did I tell you about Belichick when we last spoke?
That if he didn't have a winning season by the end of this year, that he was going to be gone.
And what did I tell you that I would have done with him years ago?
Belichick.
God, I watched this and I'm starting to.
You would have moved him to.
I would have fired his ass. I would have fired his ass years ago because it's been a mediocre football operation. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so Kyle's got the context. Rick, I appreciate that you tuned in and you caught it. But the bottom line is, I think the narrative, everybody wants to talk quarterbacks. Here's my thing with Jones, and this is a new development. This is part of why I reached out to Kyle, or whichever. I lose track of Kyle and Rick, who I was texting, because I know I talked to Kyle. So I texted Rick, but I talked to Kyle, and then I ended up doing
the decency to know who he's texting.
No, I did text him after the. I texted him after the podcast. So
anyway, I've been backing Jones. I've been backing Jones for a while. Not saying he's outright the guy like many Bears fans would do with Justin Fields. I've been backing him. I've been backing him, saying, everybody take a deep breath. Right? This guy, he looked great. He looked great as a rookie. He showed that he can be cerebral, read a defense, get the ball out, make decisions, do the mental part of being a quarterback, even though we think he's average physically. But we still don't know what he is because he hasn't had real weapons. Last year, he didn't have a real coordinator. Everything was kind of thrown up. And now Patriots people will tell you, oh, Billy O'Brien's coming in. Everything's going to be fixed.
Yeah.
Well, Bill O'Brien, he's really part of the old and not part of the new. It's been actually worse under him. I'm not a big nerd stat guy. I know that Kyle's aware of that. But all the nerd stats point the Patriots out as like 32nd in wide receiver separation and 32nd in pass protection. So I'm feeling for the quarterback here who's not a physical athlete that can make his own opportunities. And he drops back and he sees nobody open and he sees these absolute monsters in the NFL coming to kill him. And he's making horrible decisions. And I'm thinking to myself, how can you blame the quarterback for that? That doesn't mean he's wrong. It means our whole operation's wrong. And that's still true. But last week, since the loss, he leaked information out through his camp that I think the quote was, even the best chef in the world can't make a plate of garbage taste good. And it's not that we disagree with that. And anybody who knows ball and watches tape can see that. So to me, it was a really kind of tacky, low self-esteem. I don't have confidence in myself. I don't like what people are saying about me. I'm a sensitive little Nancy, and I don't have what it takes to really survive and be a franchise quarterback in this league. So I'm going to leak it because I'm going to play the media game because I'm focused on my next opportunity because what's going on inside the building in Foxborough is so toxic. I know I'm on my way out there. And so I flipped there. So I had been defending Jones and saying clean house and try to give Jones a chance. And now I'm at the point where it's clean house and also, get Jones out of here. And I would love to see Jones go win a Super Bowl somewhere else. I think he would be doing, and this is his take, I heard Orlovsky say this, and I think others have said it. I think he would do fine in an operation like one of the top teams like San Francisco with all the talent, all the scheme, all the blocking, all everything. When everything's great, he's awesome. And I could see him doing that, but he's in a toxic scenario now. It's really funny to me, right? I think the national narrative on Jones since he entered the league, his rookie year, he was so great. He was so good, right?
Playoffs.
Everybody said, could he have landed in a better place? Like Jones, he landed in the perfect place. You got great structure, you got the best coach, you got this and that, and now we're saying the complete opposite. And so it's really scary. All my notes are really about Patriots transition plan. I thought that's what you guys might be interested in.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I'm
let's get
happy to
into
talk
that.
about whatever you guys want to talk about.
No,
Well,
let's get into the. Go ahead, Kyle.
I do have one question I wanted to ask. Can you hear me all right, by the way? All right. So the Patriots' red zone scoring percentage is actually 9th. So they're top 10 in the NFL in red zone. And I was like, okay, so is the issue that they're not running the football? I look at how many rushing yards they're getting. They're 26, so bottom half. My question is kind of 2 parts. So one, is a lack of a rushing game the reason that you're taking fewer trips to the red zone? And why? I had Ramondre Stevenson being like maybe the top back in fantasy football this year. And then they bring in Ezekiel Elliott, and it's like people are worried about it. But then Bill O'Brien's like, Zeke's a 3-down back. And we're like, well, what does that mean for Ramondre? What is the problem with the running game in Boston?
So, Kyle, I think we talked about my disdain for fantasy the last time we connected.
Yeah.
However, the reason I'm like hysterically laughing right now is, they're 9th in the league in red zone. Did you look at the denominator of some of those stats?
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying.
They've only been in the red zone like 5 times.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's why I'm like, what gives? Like, why can't they get down there if they're not running the football?
No. They get there once a game, and it's usually because of a blocked punt or somebody fumbled the snap or like some BS from the other team being a failure.
Is it so? This is the worst offense in the NFL.
I believe that. I haven't seen a worse one. I have not seen a worse one.
Damn near close.
The Giants.
The scariest thing, gentlemen, is that week 1 showed a little bit of promise. They were up against a much better personnel team, the Eagles. They hung in there. They were like a rookie mistake and maybe let's pay Jacoby Myers instead of Juju Sanu away from like having a chance there with time expiring to win the game on the last drive.
Then Miami.
Then they play Miami. Good game plan. Hang in the game late. Have a couple chances to win it. Jump ball to Devontae Parker, who in New England, they think Devontae Parker is an 80-20 jump ball guy, apparently. But everybody who's ever watched him practice in Miami for 6 freaking years knows that Xavier Howard is his daddy. And it's not even funny. It's like guys around Miami, like they don't even joke about it. They're like, we used to see it 5 days a week in practice. And like, we know what's good over there. Like they don't give any help to Xavier Howard when he's lined up with Devontae Parker because Devontae Parker, newsflash, blows. And Belichick gave him extra money in preseason just to like pay off this like they've done these things where they pay off these veterans for loyalty so that maybe the locker room doesn't turn. And it's all part of this horrible Belichickism that's gotten to be a very poisonous thing around the barn. So you ask about the red zone, Kyle, and my point is you're completely, you're what's the line? You're missing the forest through the trees or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they suck in the red zone because they suck everywhere. And like the running game, running game, you know what it takes to run the ball? It takes a little scheme. It takes offensive linemen that know how to block but get on the field.
But they had that last year. So where is it?
Offensive line's gotten worse. Injuries have gotten worse. And like the offensive line, it's a disaster. Trent Brown's checked out. Cole Strange can't get on the field. Mike Owenu, who was their best lineman last year, all of a sudden sucks. It's not all of a sudden. He had tough like preseason injuries, didn't get to practice. Now he's playing guard and tackle, and they're shuffling things around. They've got Adrian Clem at offensive line coach instead of the legend Tate Scarnecchia, who was part of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's just like nothing really works. They can't block anyone. Nobody gets open. They can't run the ball. Jones has been having so far 2 back-to-back meltdowns. I mean, his performance in that game, his performance in that game, in that Cowboys game, to me, that was the worst game he's ever played by a mile. And I was like, okay, like let's bury the ball on this one. Let's see what happens next week. And it was a little bit more of the same. But I've never seen him melt down like he did against the Cowboys. And I think he's at a point where whether it's his people in his camp talking in his ear, being like, dude, you can't succeed here. There's no blocking. There are no weapons. There's no scheme. There's no this. Like, you are set up to fail. All facts, by the way. But it's interfering with his ability to actually compete for his teammates. And there's been Colin Cowherd rumors. I don't know if you guys have heard this about how teammates don't like him. The coaches don't like him. The Cowherd line was he doesn't have many friends in the building. And then
was it followed up by some metaphor?
Right. He's the tuna fish trying to fit into a PB&J.
Yeah.
But he had that leak on like Friday before the last week's game, and like before that Saint game. And I was like, when I heard it, I was like, I even tweeted about it. I was like, you know what? Like, I love Cowherd, but like, he's definitely never been a New England guy. Juju Smith-Sanu is a USC guy who's been on his show. I feel like Juju's kind of texting with him, being like, I don't like Mac. Juju hasn't really been part of the whole offseason program. If you've watched any of Juju's snaps and targets, he's completely out of sync with the quarterback. There's zero chemistry there. And so I basically said, Juju's polluting Colin, and this is a bad take. Then we see the game on Sunday, and I'm like, you know what? That's why Colin's doing what Colin's doing, and I'm broadcasting here from, this beautiful Chicago bedroom. So,
damn right, beautiful Chicago. You're goddamn right, Rusty.
I love Chicago.
Right.
I love Chicago, Rick. I really do. It's beautiful. It's the only place I want to live.
So let's go into the transition plan, like you said, right? Like you wanted years ago, you wanted Belichick gone. Mac Jones seems to be someone who can get you there, but he needs weapons, he needs protection. What's this transition plan you got concocted for us for the Pats? And if Bill Belichick's listening, which he totally is tuning into this show,
100%.
This is what's going to happen right here. Go ahead.
All right. So the big item here is like, will Robert Kraft, will he fire Belichick? And that's the question. That's what everybody's talking about. Or is he going to let him hang around and like
senior advisor, just
drain it out until he passes Shula? Are we all familiar with the film Gladiator?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. So at his core, right, Kraft, other than being a businessman and other things, right? But like at his core, the way that he runs the team is he is all about public perception, being the good guy. At times I've even called him a star bleeper. He likes his celebrity shout outs, Meek Mills. He likes Tom Brady, birthday party invites.
You talking about Robert?
What's that?
You talking about Kraft?
Yeah.
Robert Kraft, the owner, right?
Dude, you should have checked our conspiracies of the week last week. It was about how Robert Kraft and Michael Jackson had that tour, and that's how he became the owner. Check it out, because it's all about how he likes hanging out with celebrities. And he worked for the newspaper too.
So I'll have to get back to that. And I'm sorry I wasn't prepared on that. But basically it goes, the reason I reference Gladiator out of the gates here, Rick, is it's right. Win the people and you'll win your freedom.
Yep. And
so for a while entering the season, the majority of Pats fans, and again, you look at any like fan population, and this is just my opinion. You guys tell me if you agree or disagree, right? But there's about 50% pink hats that really just like the logos. They're born in the region. They do what they do. Then there's 50% fans who like know the sport, know what's going on. And then within that 50%, there's maybe 10% that are like plugged in and really give a hoot and like are all the way nerding out like the three of us.
Yep.
Exactly. And so amongst that whole grouping, especially the pink hats, the take going into the year was, in Bill we trust. He'll figure it out. We've got O'Brien. Everything's going to be fixed. And after the disastrous Dallas and New Orleans games, the people have shifted. And so that's where Kraft will shift, because he cares more about what the fans care about than what he doesn't like. He cares about, relationships, trust. He cares about also his legacy. And like a big part of his legacy is him sticking his neck out and hiring Belichick in the first place, sacrificing a first round pick that turned into an actually excellent defensive end, Sean Ellis, for the Jets back in 2000. But my point is, he's always backed Belichick because that's been the popular thing. But now in New England, it's not. It is no longer, especially after this New Orleans game, the back-to-backs. The fan base has shifted, and Kraft is going to follow the fan base. Belichick's lost the crowd, and he's lost his freedom. And so where we get concerned is what happens next. And so what I'm very nervous about is a term I want to credit Boston Sports Journal's Mike Giardi on this term, which is institutional arrogance, which is a good term to describe maybe the region, but definitely the organization. Definitely the organization where you look across the league and it's, turnover breeds inconsistency, stability breeds success. That's the kind of mentality that the owners try to pretend they're back. But if Belichick's built this whole thing over 20 years, unlike any other of the 31 other teams. And so there are all these different layers of nepotism and BS hires and yes men and people that are, we call them fobs, friend of Bill. And so it's all fobs up and down the organization. So if you ask Bill, who's head of, again, he's not just the coach, he's not just the GM, he's the Führer. He is the complete dictator of, again, it's not about pursuing, genocidal objectives, but
I hope not. Shit.
No. Again, we're talking about pure football operations. We're not talking about geopolitical science. But my point is, if you get rid of Bill, now you've got two of his kids on staff. Now you've got Matt Groh, who's the son of his former best friend Al Groh, who used to be one of the defensive assistants with the Giants and then the Browns and all the way up, one of his best friends. He's got his best friend's son running personnel. And then you have Gerard Mayo, who's sort of the coach in waiting, unofficially, officially. And so getting rid of Bill means, okay, now Matt Groh's in charge of personnel, and now Mayo is the head coach who gets to hire his DC and his OC. And what do you do with O'Brien? Well, I think O'Brien's going to run away and maybe get a job at Michigan State. That seems to be budding news.
Tucker's out.
But from the Kraft's mentality, they're like, oh, what makes us different from the other owners is we follow consistent plans and we're not just going to flip everything upside down. And that's their own institutional arrogance. What I would like is I'd like to just completely clean house. And it's no knock on Mayo. It's really not a knock on Groh and the other guy. It's just you are part of the problem right now. And if you're worth anything, you'll find another job. You'll spend a year or two doing something else. You'll find your footing. I think Mayo could be a great head coach. But I just want, and I joked earlier about playing chess versus playing checkers. It's been a budding joke amongst Patriots fans. We're done playing chess. Let's play checkers. Hire a GM that you trust and believe in that works with the owner.
Yep.
Have the GM hire some, jabroni, McVay, Shanahan, Sharpied on beard, borderline porn star looking offensive coordinator that comes from one of these trees, right? Hire that guy to be the head coach and implement his entire system with all of his assistants. Hire some crusty old bastard to run the defense. And let's see how it goes from there. Because honestly, the players on the field across the 53-man roster, they're not that bad. It's more about the budget management, where the money's spent, especially on offense. It's not a matter of not spending money on these dud receivers. It's the fact that I would rather chop them all out, get rid of all that money, spend big money on one guy, and then try to find and draft some role guys to fill in underneath. We've got just this pile of suck that are all overpaid. They can't really do a damn thing. And it's been a real disaster from the top down. So my vision is clean house and play checkers. I'm afraid that the Kraft's vision is stability, and it'll be Mayo, and it'll be Groh, and it'll be more draft picks like N'Keal Harry and Tyquan Thornton, and more addressing needs that aren't needs, and more ignoring horrible problems in the roster.
So then, with that being said, do you just want from the head coach up clean slate, or do you want the entire team, GM, head coach quarterback, defense, Ezekiel Elliott, gone. Do you want that?
GM and down.
Well, it starts at the top, but so from a head coach and coaching staff and personnel, one of my biggest beefs has been the scouting department, and I don't know if the problem in New England's been the scouting department being inept, or if it's been Belichick overruling them because he gets recommendations from college coaches that are fobs, friends of Bill. I don't know if that's been the problem or not, but like that whole scouting operation is a disaster. It's got to be cleaned out. Second point is the coaching staff. Now that depends on the route that they take. Again, I just laid out the checkers plan. I say get some fancy pantsy boy offensive coordinator guy to be the head coach. Hire some crusty old guy, that sounds like Vic Fangio. Have him play the defense. And like the personnel, again, you mentioned the quarterbacks. I'm done with Jones. Zappe's not a franchise quarterback. I think Jones is somewhere between, Jones is probably somewhere between the 20th and 40th best quarterback in the league. So like I'm okay. Like my thing with Jones is not that he can't play in the league. It's that he's done here. Like what's happened here and how it's gone down here. It's become way too toxic to cling to. So I don't want to like go crazy and say we need the quarterback now because we have so many other needs. So why don't we start to build like the rest? Why don't we start to construct the rest of our roster more like good teams, like the 49ers? Stop spending money on
Bears,
long snappers out of Navy that have the most guaranteed contract money in the history of long snappers that have already made 4 bad long snaps in a 5-week season. Maybe stop signing free agents like Chris Board, who covers punts and kickoffs when they happen literally like once a game, and he's making enough money that could be like a solid backup tight end. Maybe stop doing all this like stupid Belichick bullshit. Excuse my language.
Okay.
And like get back to playing checkers. So that's kind of the overall take, but I do think that it's more likely than not. So if it keeps going as poorly as it's gone, the decision is going to be made for Kraft. And he and Belichick are going to have to settle in a room, and they're going to have to release a statement. They'll make it friendly. It won't be a midseason firing. That's not going to happen. But if it keeps going like it is, which I'm kind of 50-50, part of me thinks they'll like salvage this season and make it look good towards the end. But part of me also sees the bottom falling out. Like there's real problems with the trust between players and coaching staff, players, offense and defense. The injuries are piling up. The offensive line sucks. And like it was okay. It was supposed to be a strength of the team, but then a couple injuries, there's no depth. And like I don't know if you've caught this at all, Rick and Kyle, but sorry for rambling and ranting here. But and obviously chaps my ass because it's just like there have been so many signs on the wall. And the last time I talked to Kyle, I was like, we got problems. We need to address them the right way. We need to do this and that. And at every single fork in the road since Kyle and I talked, we've gone the wrong fork. And so now we're so much worse off. And I feel like it's just digging a deeper hole that we need to climb out.
Yep.
So it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. And I think there's a 50-50 chance that there's that, parting of Belichick at the end of the year. I'm pretty sure it would take a really miraculous disaster to just clean house and follow my plan. But I think more likely than not, they basically suck. They're somewhere between 4-13 and 5-12. And there's a Belichick Kraft powwow in some press conference, and Belichick rides off into the sunset, and he lets go of that stupid little Shula thing.
So Kyle, you got one last thing for Rusty here because he's got a Bruins loss to get to.
Yeah. So the last thing I'll say is the one good thing is that my team has been sucking since Manning retired. So every coach that I've seen come in has fired everybody. And a great example is last year, Evero, the defensive coordinator for the Broncos, was like one of the best in the NFL. This defense was legit. And you see what's happened in just 1 year with Vance Joseph, worse in the NFL. But even like in his case, he wasn't even willing to stay because his loyalty was in Nathaniel Hackett. So even the coordinators because normally a head coach comes in, fires everybody. even guys where you're like, what did he do? It's not about what he did. He's part of the old. We are the new. We're bringing in a breath of fresh air. So I do think you're going to get your wish when somebody does get hired. Like, I'm not worried about, Mayo or Belichick's son. Like, when Belichick's fired, all of them are fired. And I think it's going to be clear when a new guy comes in and fires all of them, because that's kind of how like 99% of head coaches do. Like, they're like, I can't win if I don't have my people, and these aren't my people. And like you said, if Belichick's way is really outdated and old, none of these new offensive porn stars are going to come in and be like, let me keep Gerard Mayo and Belichick's son. You know what I mean? Absolutely.
From this to this, right?
And I'm going to cheer you up in 1 second.
Fat bottom girls.
Fat bottom girl Jackie. This was at the grocery store. It's a Halloween beer. Cheers.
There you go. Cheers, fellas.
Cheers,
yeah,
Rusty.
Yeah. Hey, well, thanks for having me on, Kyle. I like your. I hope you're right. My point is, like, I know there's uncertainty in that kind of change and like ripping the roots out. You're entering sort of an unknown. I'll take the unknown from the known suck that like we're heading down. So
the Texans were in an unknown, and look at them now.
Yeah.
Let's take it easy on the Texans.
Well, I believe in D'Amico Ryans as a coach. I was like very big on him, like when he was a candidate.
I like his style. I loved him as a player, but you know what? We in the media, us media people, we like to fall in love week to week, right? Let's
100%.
check back on D'Amico Ryans and the Texans 10 weeks from now. But I get your point, and like ripping everything out, I think you pretty much have like 1 in 3 of those kinds of moves really work. So it's more likely than not that replacing the whole thing will bring in some jabronis that screw it all up and suck also. That's more likely than not. I'm okay with that. Like, I've accepted the risks of that, right? Like, I'm not pretending like the next guy's going to come in and all of a sudden rebuild this. I know what's already happened isn't going to happen again. Like, we all need to make our peace with that. And so what where I'm at is like, let's start taking risks. Like, let's start taking risks and let's get off of this thing, because it's not, and this is my closing point. And I know we're probably running late, but Kyle, my thing is, it's not that the game's passed Belichick by, it's that Belichick has passed football by. He's so ingrained in what he does. He's got, his ego is now completely out of control.
His buddy Nick Saban's about to go through the same thing with the college portal.
Yeah.
Okay, multi-dimensional topic there, but what Belichick's proven at every single step of the demise here over the last 3-4 years is that his pettiness and his insecurities going into these personnel decisions, like, Jacoby Myers expressed some disinterest in how the team was being run. Let's go get Juju Smith-Schuster. We'll just replace him. He's replaceable.
And that was the answer.
Turns out he's not. Turns out now we convert a third down because we don't have Myers.
Yep.
And it wouldn't have cost a lot of money. And that's just the most obvious example of a million others. And so it's just it's the pettiness, it's the petulance, it's the way he treats the media. All those things, they're all kind of symptoms that point to the same cause of the problem, which is you've got a guy that's running the entire thing that it's really all about him. And so far, right, on the big sample, right, that's been excellent. But now there's a big enough sample that says it's time to go. And I was on it a while ago, Kyle. And now it's just again, back to the gladiator reference. He's lost the people and he's lost his freedom. And I don't really see a world where he's back next year. I don't, unless they find a way to finish 7-10 and win 5 out of their last 8 games. I don't see it.
And there you go, everybody. You heard it from a Pats fan. Belichick has passed football. Get rid of him. Start all over. Let's take risks. All I gotta say, Rusty, as a Bears fan, welcome to mediocrity, baby. Welcome to mediocrity. It's good to have you. What is that? Misery loves company. and it seems like a lot of people in the comments like your company as well.
Never agree that you're mediocre. You're not.
You're right. The Bears for a while were, but now they're on a 13-game winning streak here in a bit.
We need Deion Sanders to be the next head coach of the Patriots. Let's get weird with it. Let's get weird with it.
Rusty, thank you for coming on, and we hope to have you back. Talk more Pat. See how the season progresses, man. Thanks for coming on.
Fellas, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me. God bless. Keep up the good work, and I'll be tuning in.
All right. Cheers, Rusty. Cheers.